then they leave it. So what happens after 20 years? What do you do then? Any suggestions?
Well, 20 years, if I'm not mistaken, according to the other gentleman that was here presenting solar stuff, was the life expectancy.
Yes.
Of
So
the
they're
panel.
worthless and they leave them.
That's why they're doing 20 years. You
Right.
get 20 years, they're walking out the door because there isn't nothing left.
And that gentleman also pointed out too, for the ours, because that wasn't solar panels for us. He
Right.
said in 10 years, your warranty's gone, and now what do you do? I mean, I don't think they're gonna offer us a new warranty on it. They might on the newer stuff, but not on the.
And I'm not saying it's all bad, I'm just saying, I have been through Vermont, and I've seen some of those solar panel farms, and they are huge.
Mhm.
And it doesn't, easiest way to explain it is like a Christmas tree farm, only they're solar panels, thousands of feet long.
Mhm. Well, we wish to,
I like windows, Michelle.
I do too.
Do we
I don't
want
mind
to get our
solar.
planning board involved, and since site plan is their jurisdiction too?
We could,
They need some training time, so they could
well, on this subject.
maybe do some work on it too. Or at least look at this one and give you their opinion.
We could, definitely.
I think this addresses many aspects of the situation.
Yeah, it definitely addresses fire situation, site plan, addresses removal and dismantle.
Impact on neighbors, impact on roads, a restoration of the landscape and of the fields and so on.
Yeah, for 20 years, they go bankrupt.
I think
Yeah.
we would be wise to.
No, but
Yeah, who's gonna take care of
They
it?
come here, where it's disintegrated.
Right, and then, there was another town, and I'm drawing a blank on where it was, but there was another town that actually did run into that same question, and they said their site plan addressed the issue of removal. However, apparently you can only mandate it for 3 years. So even if we do put a site plan in place and say we have to remove it, well, it's not gonna do us any good after 3 years. I mean, they have to put it in their contract is what they were saying. So the individual, the person that owns the property, that's gonna make the lease deal with these corporations, has to have it written into their lease, or into their deal, and it has to say, you will remove your solar panels if you go bankrupt or something in the States. So that's the only danger to this. We can mandate, but at the same time, it's only good for 3 years. On our side, we have to ask the individuals and inform the people in our town that they need to make sure they get written in their contracts too, so that way we're not stuck with solar panels sitting out here, and we gotta stare at them.
Can we not incorporate something like this into our comprehensive plan?
We could.
And so I would think then it's ongoing more than 3 years. I mean, it's
We
part of the
could.
plan.
But going back, we can only mandate up to 3 years, so.
Go about bonding.
It's a possibility. See, that's one of the things we could look into.
So we should have a moratorium while we're looking at this.
Right, and until we get our things in place. So I'm not quite sure what's involved in establishing this moratorium, if that's,
Is it 6 years, 6 months?
It's a local law, so you'll have to have the attorney draft a local law to whatever time frame you want. Have a moratorium on solar farms, commercial solar farms until,
Right.
but it would be a local law. Because we did that when we did the moratorium on the gas fuel, it was a local law,
Okay.
so.
So do I have a motion to?
I so move.
Okay,
A second.
a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and we will also have a public hearing for that. I'll make sure that I talk to Paul about doing it, so.
Maybe we can have that at the same time we have this other.
Yeah, we'll do them together. There'll be one right next to the other. So that way they're together. All right.
So you want me to send this to the planning board and ask them to meet and
Yes.
start reviewing and doing research?
Sure. I make a motion to send that to the, to the planning board, and if they could do some research for us. Does anybody wish to be on a committee from here?
I'll be on it.
Okay, Flo will be on the committee to do research on it. Anyone else wish to join her from the town board? Joe, you wanna join? All right, Joe's joining too. John, you wanna join?
No.
Okay. All right, so we'll do that. And, all in favor? Aye.
Right.
Okay.
I'm sending it to the planning board.
Send that to the planning board. And I just appointed the committee, so, for Flo and Joe, so we don't need another motion, right? Okay. All right, any other old or new business?
I have a question.
Sure.
When I came to vote here, I was asked my birthday. I spoke to the Board of Elections, that is not a proper question. I'd like to know whose idea that was.
Tom, you wanna speak to
Well,
that?
for part of the directions that we received.
What?
Part of the directions that we received.
Well,
we went
the
to
people at the
become-
Board of
I didn't finish yet.
Elections.
Wait a minute. When we got our instructions on how to conduct the tables. And one of the things that's printed on the sheet of paper they give us is your birthday. And it's really the only thing that we can ask you, which is on that paper that we can certify, to identify yourself.
You could have asked somebody's address. I think asking someone's birthday is totally inappropriate. It was not recommended by the Board of Elections. There are some people who would be very uncomfortable with that question.
Is it not the same as asking for a driver's license as an
Well,
identification?
We
Birthday is
would
on
not
there.
have that situation here. I don't
Well, we
know
do
why
have
this
it
was
from
such a
time to
huge,
time,
big
yes.
deal.
No, I disagree with you. We do have it from time to time. If people move, and they're
Right.
not in that book anymore, and they say, I used to vote here, but I can't anymore because my name is not in there, that's
Yes.
the question.
And that
Show me
requires,
your driver's, I didn't finish, you keep interrupting me. Show me your driver's license means, where do you live? If you say you live within New Lisbon, this is how we prove it.
no, my
That
driver's
has
license
not
says
been the
Mount
case
Vision.
at any election I have ever worked.
They get a provisional ballot and that's all there is to it.
If identification is needed, it says in the polling book, needs ID,
Okay,
and then they provide identification.
right.
Other than that, you ask them their name, you find their name, they sign, that's their identification, is that the signature is the same as the previous one, and they vote. If there's a question, you call Board of Elections, and they will say, we think they're legal, give them an affidavit ballot, let them vote that, submit it, and we'll count it if we find that they're legal.
You want?
Is it a problem that, excuse me, Paul, is it a problem
She doesn't, it's
that,
not for her to look into. I spoke to the Board of Elections. What Ed says is absolutely true. I've taken this training, I don't know how many times. And the way Ed's putting it out there is, you know, if somebody's not in the book, then you need identification. And they talk to you and all that other stuff. Asking the birthday is totally inappropriate.
well, is it
It was done nowhere else, and all the people I spoke with who voted all over the county.
Is it inappropriate because you have to say it out loud, or is it inappropriate because it was
It's not the right question.
But your
And you
birthday is
certainly
printed
knew who
on
I
the
was.
sheet
You
right
had
next
no
to your
need
name.
to ask me my birthday. It's just wrong, and we should just be done with it, and
So you don't wanna pursue it further?
we'll get somebody from the Board of Elections here the next time.
Okay.
If this comes up, I'm gonna have somebody here.
So Meg Kennedy is our representative to the county.
If she wants to go for it.
Meg, would you?
Would you like to pursue
Yes,
this
please.
with the Board of Elections?
Yes, if you could ask,
I
what
have
is
done
their
that
official
myself.
policy, and if they wish to bring
I'll be
some
going
down.
to that building tomorrow morning,
Okay.
so I can stop in and see.
Yes, I suppose so we'll have somebody else ask the same question.
We can have, if they could also
You're
bring
looking
somebody,
for Mike or Lori.
Yeah.
yeah, if they could have somebody be willing to also come down maybe next
Oh,
Wednesday.
quit wasting our time, for goodness sakes.
So the situation was
Oh, Lord, you figured it out
Lori.
right away, yeah.
about, was it,
Is it appropriate to say out loud the person repeat their birthday in order to identify them when they come?
I'm not exactly sure what the point is in that. If you don't know who somebody is, you don't recognize them or something, maybe you want to find out who they are, but I bet you most of the people who walked in here that day, you know exactly who they were.
Well, there might be two people with the same name, you wanted to discern who's who.
Oh,
Which
yeah,
one is there?
it's ridiculous.
I don't know why.
I haven't worked in Lisbon but a little bit for the last 5 years. I've been in places I had no idea who the people were, and I never had a problem with identifying them.
Right, you ask them their name, it's in the book, that's that.
And if it's not, you call Board of Elections.
Okay, moving on. She's gonna look into it. Let's see if we can find anything else. All right. So, the other new or old business, we have new business too. There was a question asked to me by Kathleen, our assessor, and she asked about whether or not Phil could be on the board review and the town board. So we asked the question to the Association of Towns, and the answer back was that it's an incompatibility of office.
I offered to Kathleen before she went any further. I said, I don't think I can be, so she clarified it.
Right, okay. And,
There's my letter.
and so Flo has already given her letter of resignation in, resigning from the Board of Assessment, and that's also, Ed, why I asked you, please be here. So we still have, we have 4 left on our Board of Review, our Board of Assessment review. And so we should be able to make a quorum, this year, provided everybody shows and is available, so. Which is the 24th, I think?
Don't forget that she.
I think so, I've got it written on my calendar at home.
Somewhere towards the end of May.
It's the last full week that Tuesday. I
That
can't read
Tuesday.
the date from here, but.
Yes, the 24th. Yep, 24th.
Yeah.
Tuesday the 24th.
Tuesday, the 24th, so. But next year, we will need to.
This year,
This
later
year,
this year.
this year, we will need to, appoint somebody, so I'll be thinking of someone that, you as a town board would wish to, be on, would be willing to serve. So,
And we need a motion to accept her
okay,
resignation.
so I have a motion to accept. Flo
I'll make
Mrs.
a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go.
You probably wanna do that early enough so they can
Right.
take advantage.
They have to get the training or they can't serve. That's why there's no sense in doing it now. They're not gonna do
Anybody
it.
have a suggestion now? Anybody know of anybody? Does your wife like to be on the board of reviews?
He gets enough politics through me.
Alright,
I got one more question.
sure, go ahead.
And they made any big decisions on, campground up there yet? What they're gonna do, or what we're gonna do, or?
Martin, we worked him so hard last month, he went out of the country, so,
Took 2 weeks off, so he might not even be back yet.
so he's supposed to be back today, but I told him, you don't need to come to our meeting when you're flying back from overseas. But, no, his answer was they're still waiting. He offered the proposal, as we had stated last meeting, so the proposal's still out there, but we have not heard anything back from them, their side, so. In fact, the lawyer hadn't even heard anything back and had requested again an extension, so, so that's how the process is going, so. But that's where it's at right now, so we're still waiting. So, anything else? Do we have old new business? Anything we missed? Alright,
That's fine.
This might be a small thing, but it's about changes to the assessments.
okay.
I don't know, years ago, when the Marcy South line was built, all those people who had property directly under the line, they calculated how many acres that was. We were told by, I believe it was the town, that land is valued at $50 forever. Well, they forgot to tell the Maxwell. So, I mean, that piece of land, whatever that amount is totally worthless for anything except growing brush on. I do think that those changes need to be made blanket. You shouldn't, each person shouldn't have to come in and fight for that change. And there's no difference if you're on a dirt road or a macadam road. And there always was a difference in the value of property on a dirt road or a macadam road. And there's certainly a big difference in quality of life. So I think that some of those things need to be addressed, and put in the record permanently, or put back in the assessment permanently. And also, I was thinking about these people who are coming in, they want to set up the Native American church in a fallen down trailer, or they want to annex a piece of ground next to the Rastafarians church, or whatever it is, and make this tax exempt property. I think that the town could get together a letter that states, well, you want, your property annexed for religious purposes or whatever, to be tax exempt. The fact that your land will be tax exempt, removing the value of $100,000 from the tax roll means that all of your neighbors will be picking up that $4,000 that would have been generated, just so you know. People own all this tax exempt property and they're not doing anything with it. They go hunting on it a couple times, they bring kids up for a day. It's hardly being used as a church camp. So I think we can't make them pay taxes, but they should know that it costs the rest of us for them to be tax exempt. And still, they'd be glad to have the firemen come and the ambulance come.
Would you like to write the letter?
I will write that letter, I'll try to get the figures involved there.
Okay.
But I think it should be presented to people who are looking for a tax exemption.
All right. Anything else? Okay, well, this opens the floor to the public one last time. I'm ready for the public. Mr. Lynch?
So just on that paper that on the solar farm thing there, it was not my intent that that just be taken up and adopted. I'm glad to hear you're not going to do that. This was just some ideas I had. What I would suggest, and I'm happy to do this, is that we collect some other municipal ordinances from around the state so that we can just see what other people are doing. And I've done some of that here, but I've really only just begun doing it. The other thing, the two other points I want to make about it is the definition of commercial solar farm. I think we need to think about. I did it based on capacity, and all I did was take 1/4 of the capacity of the original plan solar farm for the county,
Okay.
which was going to be a 2.3 megawatt, and it was going to take up 10 acres. So just thinking in my own mind about what size you would want, if it impacts only half an acre, we're not going to care, or
Right.
maybe we will, but that's for discussion.
Yeah.
My own way of thinking is if it's 2, 3, 4 acres, that's probably where we want to start worrying about it. And so that's where I'm trying to get this at. But you can do it other ways. You can do it by acreage, you can do it by capacity, you can do it any number of ways. And then the other point is to address the issue about dismantling and restoration. Is I set this up, I put two things in there. One is that the town would require a contract with the landowner, that the landowner would commit to ensuring that the land is restored. And you can actually make that a covenant that would run with the land. It could be put right in the deed and get recorded with the deed, so that even if that land is sold to subsequent purchasers, the new landowners would still have that obligation because it would run with the land.
Okay.
And that's something obviously you want to check always, but that's something in particular that you want to check with Martin. The other thing is I want to say I share the concerns expressed by Bob Taylor and by Keith and by Flo. Mr. Kazakis, you seem very competent, you seem very congenial. I'm sure you've got the qualities that it takes to do this. But you've chosen a person who has no local government experience, let alone any experience in town, and he's lived here for a year. I think that's less than ideal. Steve Childs may be great with numbers, but to my knowledge, he hasn't worked with the town budget. He doesn't know what goes into those numbers. And as you'll appreciate now, having been through as an outsider, I suppose, one budget cycle, there's a lot that goes